Welcome to What Just Happened. I'm Patty Assad, and this is my husband Todd. And we do these videos about once a month. And over the years, we've been married 38 years, and many times we've had people ask us, how does having a chronic illness affect our marriage? How do we make it work? Because I was diagnosed with lupus before we ever even got married. And so it's been an ongoing thing. And a lot of times I just don't feel very good, and I can be really limited at times in what I can do. And I thought about what really helps us. And one of the things I think that's most fun in our marriage is the longer we've been married, I think the more we grow in our compassion for one another. Like I know when the kids were little, one of them has a messy diaper or something, and one of us would be like, well, I changed it last time. I think it's your turn. This time around, having Charlotte, it's different because both of us, we have more compassion on each other. And it's like, well, you don't feel good. I'll go do it. Or you've worked all day. I'll do it. You did it last time. Let me do it for you this time. And so it's very different. But I thought about as far as dealing with my chronic illness, with the lupus, what really helps, and I think a lot of it is just, I can't let myself feel sorry for myself. I mean, it happens, but I can't let myself live there, or that's going to affect Todd, or have the attitude of feeling entitled just because I don't feel good. I mean, it's different when it's a chronic illness versus like a flu that's going to last a week. And you can just go to bed with that, but this goes on and on and on. And it's kind of funny when we would talked about, we've been throwing this idea around for a while, and we've had a really rough week this week. And I think this is the perfect time for us to do a video about how chronic illness affects our marriage. Last Sunday was just rough for me. I've been really sick the last week or two. And between Charlotte and I, we've either been in a doctor's office or in the hospital every day for the past week. And it had just been a rough time. Well, Sunday, all I wanted to do was leave church early, come home, and go to bed. Because of a series of events with Todd's job and things going on with Charlotte, it was hours before I could do that. And I was just feeling like, I have had enough. I am so tired. I just need to lie down, but I couldn't. Charlotte's still in a pretty rough stage, dealing with a lot of anxiety from having higher blood oxygen, and she just feels so different than she did before the surgery. So she's very hyper, and I have to keep an eye on her at all times, and she's just kind of going from one thing to the next. That's hard when I don't feel good. By the end of the evening, Charlotte had gone to bed, but I was just in a bad mood. I was mean to Todd, and it just was not a good night. And I thought about the next day, I was thinking about, okay, what can I do to keep this from happening again? I mean, there are times where I just need to go to bed. But then there are times, for whatever reason, it's rare, but it's just not possible at all. That's where, this sounds funny, but it's a simple answer. I need to keep my mouth shut. I don't need to be talking about anything serious. I don't need to be bringing up anything. I just kind of need to keep my mouth shut until it's time for me to go to bed. I think about some of the scriptures that would apply to this, like Romans 12:3. I need to have a sober estimation of myself and what I can handle and can't handle. And also Philippians 2:4 about, I got to consider other people's interests and above my own, not only considering my own. I got to think about Todd and what my attitude does to Todd. And a few just trivial things I found that seem to help is I try to keep things around here, even no matter how sick I am, as normal as possible. Like if it's possible, I'm going to get up, get dressed, and get ready. Because it's hard being around somebody who's just sick and seems down all the time. I mean, and there are days where I can't do that. I mean, and that's legit. But for the most part, I can, and I try to do that. Or even the things within our marriage that I usually take on that are my responsibility. Just because I'm not feeling good, I don't want to dump it all on Todd. I mean, occasionally that happens, but I've had to find creative ways of doing things. I've had to lower my standards for what I cook for dinner for when I'm really sick. I mean, things I wouldn't have done 10 years ago to make it easier, I'll do now. Or, this is so trivial, but I got a laundry basket with wheels on it. So when I'm really sick and weak, I can just wheel it around and I can still get the laundry done. So those are just little things I have seen to be helpful. Mainly it's about the heart and just having compassion on Todd, not just on myself. And so anyway, I wanted to ask Todd, what are some of the issues you've dealt with in our marriage that kind of center around having a chronic illness, my chronic illness?
Yeah, sure. Well, at least you didn't lower your standards when you married me, so that was a good thing. So, a few things that came to my mind when Patty has asked me this question. Over the years, I think one, we have a shared joy. We got to work with each other back 40 years ago in Chicago. She was in the ministry, I was finishing up school. We would do programs, events together. And you know what? We became friends, became best friends, and it turned into a partnership. And so I think we had a shared joy, our relationship, the ministry, our family. Now at this stage of life, we have Charlotte, and many other things, but there's so much joy that we share. And I think it has helped develop a partnership, a true partnership that we do. We work together. I think as a disciple, there's the faithfulness. It's not these big gestures, but it's a lot of small ones every day that we're faithful in what we do. And I think then probably the last thing I would say is perspective. In Psalm 90, I think it's verse 12, it says, David, teach us to number our days so that we will grow on a heart of wisdom. And I think that's so important because, time's short. And, when we really understand that time is short, we put things that are important on the front burner. And I think my relationship with Patty is very, very important. And my relationship with God, my sons, is important. And so it just puts her health in perspective, and which then lead to acceptance and not resentment. But, this is how God made Patty. And we're a team. So we're going to work it out together. And yeah, it's hard. It's difficult at times. And it is restricting at times. I think Patty lets me do some things that I really want to do. And at times we get in arguments because there's things I want to go do even more, but it's probably not the best time to do it. But we work it out, again, because of our partnership, our relationship, our faithfulness. I will probably share one really quick story. I remember a long time ago, like 40 years ago, I was having lunch with Roger Lamb and another guy who was not a part of our fellowship, as a minister. And, Roger was trying to get this guy to move to Chicago and be a part of the Chicago Church of Christ. And, which is great. And I don't know why Roger brought me, but, I sat in the lunch and I just listened. And then a number of years later, Roger told me this guy's wife got MS and he left her. And I just remember that story even today, 40 years later, and just how it just boiled in my heart, that this guy professed, to be a disciple of Jesus. And then when his spouse had something really bad, like one of my stepdads had MS, and it's like, it just ticked me off. And so I think it's pretty narrow-minded, self-centered, narrow-focused. So, I think that story probably stuck with me, especially when Patty told me she got diagnosed with lupus. And then I had to make the decision, well, am I going to break up with her because she had lupus and all the single sisters will hate me in Chicago? Or am I just going to let the relationship go and see where things what happened? And, we ended up getting married, had 2 kids, and had 40 years of fun together. So hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Thank you. I think a lot of it does just go back to really trying to love like Jesus. I mean, I fail all the time. Both of us do. But when that's our attitude, it does make all the difference, because this could affect so many things. Like I see even my friendships, when I go through a really sick about if I don't watch myself, I have to be really self aware, I start to pull back from everyone. So these are just a few of the things that we have to keep in mind. And if you guys want to know more, please put it in the comments. And I hope this helps. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.